Hi, it's Teresa in Gemma's house. Today I'm going to the Home Improvement Center to get moldings to finish up this project. The display wall shelves. Okay, so I think I got my steps in for today. I'm not going to film all of this, but you see the selection I have. I just love this store. Okay, so what I got, 10 moldings, and I had 2 that I had bought before. These 10 moldings today, 8 of them are the vinyl ones, and only these 2 smallest ones are pine wood. Let's see what I can do with these moldings. If I don't use any of these moldings, I'll return them, and then I'll be able to see if I need anything else to finish up this job. Another alternative is that I could have just left the wood unpainted with the brackets showing, but that's not the look I wanted. I did want it to be all white so that the items I display on these shelves will stand out more. And this is a creative process for me when I do projects like this. So I always make changes when I'm in the middle of it based on the results I'm getting so far, and I always seem to like it in the end. Okay, I just came back from another trip to the Home Improvement Center. I did buy a new ladder, a taller one. This one is a 6-foot ladder. My other one was 5 feet. I also bought these wood 6-foot lengths of, they said 1 by 2 inches, but the dimension of it is actually 3/4 by 1.5. I want to add a strip of wood underneath this bottom shelf. I think I will add just a thin strip of molding to the fronts of these vertical pieces, and I'll also fill in the gaps with spacers. On Amazon, I bought these 12-inch strips of balsa wood. They're 1/4 by 1/4 inch. Okay, the first part of the moldings is finished, and I like it. What I did was now the strips of wood that are this dimension, they're 3/4 by 1.5 inches high. I nailed those right underneath the shelf. I nailed them to the studs. And then in the gap, I glued this molding underneath the shelves. And I think it looks good. Okay, so I got the pine boards and pine molding applied to the top of the shelf unit. They're up against the ceiling. I glued everything, and I also put 1 nail in the boards on those vertical pieces. And now I'm starting to put that thin pine molding underneath that top shelf that will be filling in the gap between the shelf and the wall. It's coming together. Okay, so just to show you that all of my boards didn't go on all lined up, and everything is not perfect, and that's okay. I wanted to show you that I just improvise, and I put a little spacer piece down here with that balsa wood, and up here, just enough to make it vertically level. I don't know if that's the correct term, but it is straight up and down vertically. so visually it won't look off. I filled in some of the gaps with that construction adhesive, and I'll let all of that dry. And then when everything is dry, I'll just put some spacers in here with the balsa wood, just so I don't have to fill in all of that with caulking. And then add the caulking. Like I'm always saying, caulking is a lifesaver. Same with this side. It's not perfect by any stretch of the imagination by professional standards. And the important thing is that it looks vertical, and this is good. Okay, so I got the caulking on so far, and it's getting close to the very last step of painting the whole thing. Okay, so I totaled up my costs for this project. The glues that I used were $20.44. The Titebonds, I have a lot left, so I'll be using those on other projects. The 2 4-foot long boards that I used for the upright pieces were $20.78. The 4 6-foot length boards that I used for the shelves were $51.16. There were 5 pine wood moldings. Those were $26.90. There were 4 of those 3/4 inch by 1.5 inch by 6 foot long wood strips. I used those for the very top of the shelf unit and underneath the bottom shelves. Those were $12.56. There was 1 8-foot vinyl molding. It was $4.98. And I bought that 60-pack of the 1/4 inch by 1/4 inch balsa wood strips for filling in gaps. I only used maybe 10 of them, but I included the entire cost, which was $11. And then the 8-pack brackets, those were $27.80. 1 tube of caulking, $5.78. And I bought a new heavy-duty reusable painting drop cloth. I'll be able to use this on many other projects moving forward. That was $10.58. All of that came to $191.98. With tax, the total came to $209.50. I didn't include the cost of that 6-foot ladder. It had a tag on it of $75, but I looked at my receipt and it only cost me $67.47. And then I already had a lot of white paint from other projects, so I didn't include any costs for that. I returned all of the other moldings that I didn't use. So the $209 for this project I think is very reasonable. Okay, so I got my wall shelves project finished and I love them. I love the way they turned out. So they look nice and clean, and I put some of my things that I would like to display on them on the shelves, but of course it's not going to stay like this for long. I'll be rearranging these items on these shelves probably at midnight tonight and for weeks following. And you can see why I wanted white shelves, so that the shelves were just plain, and the things displayed on them, I wanted them to be able to be seen very easily. Okay, so I have to be honest, this was not an easy project. Working by myself, up on a ladder, above my head all the time, it was very difficult. I had forgotten about that. And I think if I were to make these same types of shelves at like waist height or even down near the floor, this project would have been way easier and it would have gone faster too. But I had to take frequent breaks, sometimes a few days at a time, because my muscles were just not used to reaching so high above my head. And it's a good thing I bought that new 6-foot ladder too. Otherwise, I would not have been able to paint up at the very top of the shelves and get that top strip of wood to glue it onto the ceiling and nail it into the vertical upright pieces. So like I mentioned already, working above my head on a ladder and by myself too, it dictated the design and construction of these shelves. So since I was working by myself, I couldn't make the shelf components too heavy, otherwise I wouldn't have been able to lift them up into position and nail them into the studs and things like that. Also, the position of the studs on this 10.5-foot wide wall dictated the design too. And I'm really happy that I chose these brackets that screwed into the studs, and they can hold a lot of weight now. I'm really happy about those. Also, for a project like this, you have to already know how to use a miter saw or a table saw. You have to know the techniques of applying caulking to wood. You have to have certain tools already to be able to do this. I didn't use a nail gun for any of this, but I decided to use just construction adhesives. I did use a few small nails here and there. So the construction adhesive actually did work really well, and the wood glues. Okay, so that will finish it up for this project. Please let me know in the comments what you thought. And until next week, thanks again for watching. Bye-bye.